Very pumped to be joined by a guy in his second season with the Muskegon Lumberjacks, a no-DAC commit, draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the first ever draft pick from South Dakota also, which is super cool. Looking for his second Clark Cup championship in the last 2 years, fresh off a Game 5 win, Carter Sanderson. Carter, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Should have added captain of the Muskegon Lumberjacks, but we'll get
Okay.
to that later. First things first, you're a tough guy. I've seen you play a ton. Big fan of your game. What's up with the cage in the playoffs?
It was game one of the semifinal or the Eastern Conference Finals, and I put a puck on net, and it ramped up the goalie's stick, and he tried to kind of punch it out of the air, and I caught his paddle right in the teeth, and so uh, I'm wearing a splint right now, and kind of trying to
Uh-huh.
protect those teeth, and I got to do that with a cage on, and so I got to have one for the next 5 weeks that I can skate, and so definitely don't want to be stuck in the cage, but
Yeah.
kind of have to right now.
Wait, did you lost teeth?
I didn't. I got him. I got three pushed back, and then I
Okay.
chipped one. And so, thank God, our dentist was here, and he pushed three back into place.
Uh-huh.
And then I got them filled. I got four root canals, and then got them
Jeez.
splinted. And so, definitely had some dental work there. But
Can you explain what you mean when you say you got them splinted? I'm not familiar with that when it comes to
yeah,
teeth.
it's like a broken bone,
Okay.
basically. And so it literally just holds the teeth in place because they're still loose right now because my gums
Yeah.
got all messed up as well.
Ah,
But it's just holding all four teeth together right now so that they don't move. And so they said it's like a broken bone. You got to have it for 6 to 8 weeks. And then when I go home sometime in June, I'll
mhm.
be able to get it off. But just stuck in it for now.
Teeth suck, man. I got mine knocked out in junior too. It was a
Yeah.
whole thing. But are you chirping more or less now with the cage on? I got to imagine you're running your mouth even more, knowing guys can't punch you in the face.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say uh, I can totally understand where like the program is coming from when they all wear cages, and it's like a free will type thing. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want, and you won't get the consequences of it. Kind of playing more freely, but at the same time, there was a couple times this last weekend in scrums where guys knew that I got my teeth knocked out, and so they're trying to pull my cage up and punch me in the face, but
Oh, they're not being nice about it. They're trying to
not
get
being
you.
nice about it at all. No, but
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's just playoff hockey.
yeah, it is.
But to get into it, not exactly the way you guys drew it up this year, but you're back in the Clark Cup Finals. Congrats. How much fun has this ride been?
Yeah, thank you. I'd say from early on, we set high expectations for ourselves. We've had kind of a huge turnaround from the beginning of the year to what our team looks like right now. But I'd say once we got into kind of the three-fourths way through the season, things weren't really going our way, and so we had to
Mhm.
look ourselves in the mirror and kind of see what was going on and what we needed to change. And we started to change things right at the right time. Obviously, sweeping Cedar Rapids the first round of playoffs, and then going to Game 5 with the Buke, and then going to Game 5 with Madison, and obviously coming out victorious in all three of those series. But I think that guys have kind of really bonded together here in this last 4 weeks to a month,
Mhm.
and we've been doing what we need to do. So it's been good.
I was just going to ask you. You mentioned the back-to-back Game Fives. I mean, you were there last year in that Game Five of the Clark Cup Final. Like, I'm sure that experience helped you guys, or the returners that are here now. But like, were there even nerves going into this game last night because of the Game Five against Dubuque?
Uh, I'd say not really. We're really good at responding after a tough game. I'd say um, we've gone into many elimination games, and we've won all four that we've been in.
Yeah,
And
wow.
so, kind of being able to, you know, not be too stressed out by the moment and kind of just take it as it comes. And really being able to kind of lean on each other, hold each other accountable in those times has been really good. And so our responses have been great.
And those elimination games yourself too, you've come up pretty clutch. I think you had a goal and an assist, Game 4 to force Game 5,
Yeah.
goal and assist in Game 5 against Dubuque. Like, you're a clutch guy in the big moments, huh? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I can't really put it all on myself. I mean, my teammates have been great too. I'd say a couple of those have just come where I've made a pass earlier on in a shift, and guys kind of do the rest of the work from there. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of all because of my teammates. I can't really take much credit for it, but just the
Mhm.
guys behind me.
And some teammates that you played with at the World Junior A Challenge you just played against, and coach Andy Brandt, Caleb Howell, John Stout. You were with them at the World Junior A Challenge. You guys won a gold there. Was that handshake line a little bit tougher going up against those guys and beating them and knocking them out?
I would say, yeah, like you feel bad, but at the same time, they're really proud of you and really happy for you that you're advancing to the finals. I mean, me and Heil talked next year about being roommates at North
Yeah,
Dakota.
that's cool.
Me and John Stout have kind of kept in contact ever since. And every time that I see Andy Brandt, it's always a conversation like him saying that he's proud of me, who I think is a great guy. And all three of those guys were. I wouldn't really say role models, but like guys that I could look up to, guys that I could hold me accountable at the World Junior A Challenge, and so kind of growing a relationship with them, and then ending their season here this last night. It was tough, but at the same time, it was a great feeling, kind of
Mhm.
as a hard fought battle. But
Yeah, and you mentioned North Dakota too, like a guy that, I couldn't help but smile when talking to, David Klee. I was in their locker room at the Frozen Four. All the
yeah,
guys were giving it to him when I walked up and asked him about the Clark Cup. He, like, loves to
yeah,
brag that he won it last year and everything. Have you been talking to the guys from last year's team? Even a guy like Tynan who was here, earlier in the year, are they gonna come visit and be there for games 3 and 4?
yeah. I've talked to Bauer Berry. He was my
Uh-huh.
neighbor last year in Muskegon. I hung out with him almost every day. Kind of him. He's talked about coming back, and then David Klee was the first person to text me last night after we won. We were heading back
Wow.
to the finals, and so guys like that are good to keep in contact with, and they love that we're doing. I'd say a guy like Bauer Berry is built for junior hockey, and so he loves it, but so he keeps up with the scores, keeps up with how I'm doing, how my teammates are doing, all those types of things. And then yeah, I called Tynan here last week. I haven't talked to him. I didn't talk to him last night after the game,
Mhm.
but kind of talked to him about how Worlds went, but how the rest of BU went. We just kept in contact ever since he'd left. But yeah, he's proud of us as well.
So for you personally, just going through the run this year versus last year, like how different is it for you being the captain of this group, having a bigger responsibility, and honestly producing the way you are this season?
Yeah, I'd say it's a huge turnaround. Last year, I was the 13th forward for every single playoff game. And so I didn't always know what I was going to get that night, like whether we were going to be winning by a lot and I would get quite a few shifts,
Mhm.
or whether it would be a really tight game and I would just kind of have to be an energy guy on the bench. But now, Jimmy, Colton, all of our coaches have a lot of belief in me and kind of give me the ropes to let me do what I do and kind of go out there and give me free will to try things out. And they have trust in me to go out in those big moments and
Mhm.
produce. And so that's a huge aspect of that. And I'd say being a captain, kind of having more say, while also guys still being able to hold me accountable. Just in those moments, I've grown a lot throughout the last year, and so it's a very cool feeling.
You were in the mix though last year. I remember doing those games. Like you
Yeah.
were in the middle of everything. I think I might have said on the broadcast, and I meant this in like a complimentary way. I don't know if you've gotten this, but you remind me of that guy from like Mighty Ducks 2 from Iceland, like the guy who
Oh
is
yeah.
like the shit
Yeah.
stirrer because the hair,
Yeah.
everything. Have you
Yeah.
gotten that before?
I haven't, no,
You haven't gotten that, but you know what I'm
no.
talking about.
No, yeah, I do. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
meant that in like the nicest way possible too. Like you were in the middle of
Yeah.
everything. But I guess what about your game, like specifically, has really grown, this year? Because from game one, I mean, even watched you in Pittsburgh in that first game. I think it was a shootout. You were just dominant in that game.
Yeah, I'd say in that in that first game, I was coming off a rookie camp in Pittsburgh, and so
Mhm.
speeds were a lot. I wouldn't say a lot faster, but guys were more detailed. They were doing the little things right, and so I'd say I was kind of accustomed to that. And so coming back to the USHL, playing a game there, I had a lot of confidence coming in, and so that was really good. But then I'd say overall, just this last summer. Getting drafted was kind of a huge confidence boost
Yeah.
for me. Like last year, I had 11 regular season points and I got drafted. And so that's kind of, it goes to show that like points aren't the entirety of what you need in a well rounded hockey game. But I'd say just having that behind me and being able to come in this season and kind of produce at the level that I did. I didn't meet all the goals that I set for myself, but I very well. Uh, I didn't accomplish them, but I got close, and so kind of I like setting high expectations for myself to kind of put a bar that I have to reach. But throughout the year, I'd say uh, definitely having more puck touches in my point level going up
Mhm.
was a huge thing compared to last year.
Is there one goal that you were like very close to that you're kind of like kicking yourself a little bit at, or no?
I'd say the 20 goal mark. I think I was 3 off
17,
during the
right?
reg
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, and so, that,
Well, if
but
you count
either way.
playoffs, you're over it. If you count
If you
playoffs,
count playoffs, I am, yeah, but
we can count it. We can count
alright,
playoffs, right? Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say so. I mean, you're in a good spot, man. You're going to a great school. You're drafted by a
No,
great
yeah.
organization. I want to hear about the draft day, though. Like, how did you get notified? Did you have a feeling that you would go?
Uh, I wouldn't say a great feeling, but in the
Mhm.
prior days, leading up to the draft, I had talked to Pittsburgh quite a bit. I knew that they had, I think it was 13 draft picks, in the 2025 draft, and I was talking to a few other teams too, but, if anybody, I thought that it would be Pittsburgh, and it was just me and my parents at my house, in South Dakota. We were just kinda watching the draft board,
Mhm.
seeing how it was gonna go. But uh, I didn't really expect it. But then one of my buddies, Chase Stefanik, he was on the team last
Yeah, of
year.
course. Yeah.
He lives in Cali, and I don't know if his loaded quicker or something, but he texted me and he's like, "Hey, congrats!" And I was like, "I don't know where I'm going, like if you're joking or whatnot." But then about 3 minutes later, it loaded and saw my name pop up on the draft board, so that was really cool. Um, and then yeah, I got a call from Dubas, from Dan News,
Wow.
like stuff like that. Just it kind of all kicked in that it was real and that a kid could live out his childhood dream, and so that was really cool. And then being able to celebrate with family and friends later that night was definitely cool too.
Did you have a chance to meet Sid and some of the Penguins players? I know they were there at the Fall Classic. Like they were watching. I think it was Fargo versus the NTDP game.
Yeah, no, at Dev camp I met Crosby, and then when I was out at rookie camp I met Malkin, Latang, like
Wow.
I met the entire roster, and so that was definitely cool. And then Jimmy being here,
Of
I've talked
course.
to Rutger
Hmm.
quite a few times, and just stuff like that. But I've seen those guys around.
So growing up, who'd you root for? Like, were you watching actually like USHL games being from South Dakota? Like, I got to imagine you were around the Stampede a little bit.
Uh, Not as much as you'd think, actually. Like
Uh-huh.
I grew up 3 hours from Sioux Falls, and so it was honestly in the middle of nowhere, like right in the middle of South Dakota. So like the state sport is rodeo, and so I grew up like around my family has a farm, and so I grew up on that. Like I grew up playing baseball. Hockey wasn't always like my main point of focus, but then I loved it more than all the other sports, and so I wanted to pursue it. And so at 14, I moved away to play AAA hockey, and then just developed from there. And so that's when things started to kind of go well for me. I'd say, but even growing up, I did go to quite a few Stampede games, and when the
Hmm.
NCAA regionals would be in Sioux Falls, I would go to those. The Rapid City Rush is in
Yeah.
Rapid,
Yeah.
and so
Uh-huh.
just uh, trying to find times like that to go watch games. But I wasn't really around it a whole lot. But when I could be, I was.
So who was your favorite player?
Uh, Growing up, I'd say Miko Koivu, just because he was on the
Okay.
Wild, and that's who I
Yeah.
grew up watching was the Wild. Now I'd say Brady Kachuk.
Mhm. I could
Yeah,
see that in your game too a little
yeah,
bit. You got a little
yeah,
break check in your game.
yeah.
That's a good answer. My last one for you here. Obviously you had some familiarity with Coach St. Clair last year, but is there anything specifically different, like stylistically, about playing for him this year rather than Parker Burgess, who you guys won a championship with last year?
Uh, Say Colton's a little bit more straightforward with things. Like if he sees that guys are starting to be satisfied, or if things aren't going how our plan is set to go, then he'll jump in right away. And he likes kind of leading the charge, which is a good thing. And I'd say after kind of the Christmas break point, he would talk to me and he'd be like, "All right, like this is the time of the year where this is a leaders led team compared to a coaches led team." And
Mhm.
so he'd always pull me in and talk about things like ask how the guys are doing, stuff like that, which I'm not saying that Parker wouldn't do, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't always be in those conversations as a younger rookie last year. And so
Mhm.
kind of Colton putting his trust in me, we've grown a really good relationship over the last year and a half. And so I'd say he's got a lot of trust in me. I've got a lot of trust in him, and things are going as planned right now. So that's really good.
All right, I got to ask you one more two-parter because I
Yeah,
just,
all good.
I have to ask this question. I have a feeling I know your
Yeah.
answer, but is there a team you guys are rooting for tonight?
Uh,
There's someone you want.
I want to say selfishly for me, Sioux Falls, because
Close to
playing in
home,
my home
maybe.
state, like I'd have
Mhm.
more internal fuel, and I feel like I'd rise to the occasion with, I wouldn't say more stress or more pressure, but I'd say just the opportunity to kind of, like, it's cool. Like when we were there in January, there was, I'm not even kidding, like 800 to 1,000 people, like just in the South Dakota hockey community that were there that
Wow.
I honestly haven't ever met, but like it's 8-year-old kids that are looking up to me, obviously being the first South Dakotan drafted. And so
Yeah.
I'd say that'd be a really cool feeling to do that again. But at the same time, either way, I think that we're prepared as a team. And so we'll play whoever we need to play.
Yeah, well, I'm happy you answered honestly. I feel like most guys would just do the cliche, "We don't care who we play, we're gonna prepare," you know what I mean, the basic hockey stuff.
There's
I'm
a little
happy.
bit to that, but at the
Yeah,
same time, everybody's got a opinion on who they want
of
to play.
course. Of
Yeah.
course, I mean, and your reasoning is very cool too, that'd be awesome. Are you guys watching the game together tonight as a team?
Yeah, I think we're gonna go to a billet house and watch it as a group, which will be cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Alright, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing this, Carter, I appreciate it, and
Yeah, of course.
I'll see you this weekend wherever we end up. Hopefully for you, it's
Oh
your
yeah, as
hometown, Sioux
Ezra
Falls.
did just say that you were gonna make the trek out to.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be doing the whole final, so, be watching a lot of you over the next couple weeks.
All
Good
right,
luck,
that
alright?
sounds great. Thanks, Johnny.
You got it.